on the Aggie Sports Network. From Learfield, Aggie football has been brought to you by Ford, build Ford proud, and by Stokes Trucking, doing the right thing since 1979. From the All-in-One Flooring America radio booth, welcome to Aggie Postgame.
Utah State suffering its first shutout defeat since 2 years ago at Alabama. USC, its first shutout win since 2011. So it's been a while since USC's pitched a shutout, but they get that tonight against Utah State. Scott Gerard, Kevin White, it's your post-game show after Utah State suffers a tough one tonight here in the Coliseum, losing this game 48-0. Tonight's post-game show brought to you by Farm Bureau agent Bruce Jones. Call Bruce right now, 435, well, maybe don't call him right now. It's past midnight. 435-752-3233. It's your future. Let's protect it. All right, well, you knew that the chances of Utah State winning this game or being competitive in this game wasn't overly high, but yet there's still some flashes you can take from this game. There's still some moments I think you can take away from this game and look at and say, okay, you can build on that.
The running game, you saw some flashes from Herschel Turner, 8 carries for 38 yards, had the 19-yard run. Saw Rasul Faison in the first half break off a 20-yarder, finished with 9 carries for 54. You see a defense that continues to play hard all the time. They did give up 544 yards to a really, really good one. This might be the best USC team they've had maybe in a decade, perhaps.
Yeah, I think you might
Since
be right
the Pete Carroll era.
Yeah.
I mean, just to balance.
Oh, yeah.
Offense,
sure.
defense. This is as good a USC defense as we've seen in a long time. And I have to say that Dan Lynn, the defensive coordinator, now complimenting Lincoln Riley, the offensive coordinator. I love their scheme. When there's second, third, and long, they're lighting the opposition up. So Utah State's going to have to take a look at that now, and because other teams are going to start to do that.
Oh, 100%. And, that's something that Utah State's going to have to go to the drawing board and try to figure out, realize. Now, look, a lot of teams aren't going to be able to do it with the same personnel that USC was able to do it. But, there were probably three really good drives for Utah State. The first drive of the game was 44 yards, got to the 40-yard line before that drive stalled out, and Utah State had to punt. Then the first drive of the third quarter, they were able to break midfield, but turned it over on downs. And then that final drive, which, again, they get to the 20-yard line, and I think that was the only time, and I'm going to go ahead and say that they got into the America First blue zone. But even then, it was close. And then you have back-to-back TFLs to push you back, and then Elliott Nimrod can't connect on the 52-yard field goal.
See, that's kind of, how the night went for Utah State. Just couldn't complete drives and sustain it.
Yeah. Utah State suffers the 48-0 loss in this one. Bryson Barnes, 18 of 27 for just 103 yards. And had the one interception that I don't know if I put completely on him. It was tipped at the line. He did kind of come in and throw it a little low, but.
And it was a tough time because Utah State, remember they got down 20-0 and had a chance to maybe go get some points right before half. And the interception then led to another score for USC that they went into the locker room up 27-0. And really, there was no chance at that point.
And the other thing, too, that hurts about that interception is Jalen was open in the middle of the field and could have caught that thing in stride.
And Jalen, he started out hot. A couple of catches on that first drive. Ends with 6 catches for 47 yards. But you're right, he had an opportunity to maybe get down the field and give Utah State an opportunity to get some points on the board before the half. So that was a big play in this game. The big play in the first quarter when Ike Larson made an interception down 10-0. And it was nullified by an offside penalty against Utah State. It's kind of how the night went.
Yeah.
But make no mistake, they were outclassed, outmanned. This offensive line for USC really dominated, paving the way for 249 yards on 37 carries, averaging 6.7 yards per attempt on the ground. Woody Marks really didn't play the second half. He was 13 carries for 103 yards, most of that in the first half, if not all of it. Quentin Joyner, 10 carries for 84 and a couple of touchdowns. Brian Jackson, the freshman, Joyner and Jackson, he was 7 carries for 34 yards. And Marion Peterson, another freshman, 3 carries for 18 yards. In all, 249 yards on the ground. And then the 2 quarterbacks, Miller Moss was 21 of 30 for 229 and a touchdown. Jaden Maeva came in and went 8 for 11 for 66 yards. He also had a rushing touchdown from 7 yards out. All told, USC went for 544 yards. They had 14 different receivers catch balls here tonight.
Wow. That's crazy.
14. I don't know if I've ever seen that many receivers actually catch a ball here tonight for USC. Part of a 29 of 41 between the two quarterbacks for 295. They've got all sorts of weapons. They're big guys. I mean, you look at Kyron Hudson, only 1 catch for 16. You look at Jacoby Lane, had 2 for 16. Didn't really need them.
No.
Tonight, they just spread it out. The tight ends were big. You had McCree led USC with 4 catches for 81 yards. Just talent all over the field for this USC football team.
Dex Imaging is the nation's largest independent business solutions provider, selling and servicing the broadest selection of copiers, printers, and data security systems. Learn more at deximaging.com. Take a break. We'll continue on with your post-game show next. All brought to you by Bruce Jones, your local Farm Bureau agent, right here on the Aggie Sports Network from Learfield.
This is Catherine Buse with Cache Valley Bank, and we understand that concerns about fraud can weigh heavily on you. Your peace of mind is important to us. That's why we're committed to looking out for you and your family. Our team keeps a vigilant eye on your account. If you ever have concerns or need support, we're just a call or visit away. Whether you need advice or just someone to talk to, our friendly staff is ready to help. We're more than just a bank. We're your neighbors, and we care about your security. Visit your local branch today. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
It has been said there are 2 seasons, football season and waiting for football season. Because we are Aggie fans, we'll be there when USU kicks off this new era with a new coach and a new quarterback. Locker 42 is where Aggie fans prepare for the game. T-shirts, hoodies, jackets, hats, and other assorted apparel, all emblazoned with the Aggie logo. Aggie fans are forever hopeful, dedicated, even resilient. Locker 42, a store for Aggie fans by Aggie fans.
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical. I'd like to invite you to learn more about us. Since 1997, we've been Utah's premier one-stop shop for home medical equipment. What sets us apart at Alpine Home Medical is the superior level of customer service. We provide home oxygen, CPAPs, wheelchairs, scooters, breast pumps, and so much more. Come on down and get to know us.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Visit alpinehomemedical.com.
Les Olson IT structured cabling is second to none. Tired of old and inefficient cabling? Have an upgrade or remodel planned? Building a new network from the ground up? We offer the very best in low voltage cabling installation, including data, phone, fiber optic, and more. Ask us how to get your free consultation today. Les Olson IT.
Coverage of the Aggies is brought to you by Advanced Garage Door, providing a lifetime guarantee on all parts and labor on KVNU, the heritage home for the Aggies.
Aggie postgame continues on right here on the Aggie Sports Network from Learfield. Today's post-game show brought to you by Bruce Jones. Call him at 435-752-3333. It's your future. Let's protect it. Your local Farm Bureau agent, Bruce Jones. Time for tonight's hidden hero of the game. If you had a hidden hero, who would that be?
Hidden hero, maybe Herschel Turner.
I think you're right on that one.
8 carries, 38 yards. He didn't have that last carry that went backwards, but showed a lot of promise. He's got a bright future here for this Utah State football team.
That's your hidden hero of the game, brought to you by Stokes Trucking, doing the right thing since 1979. All right, Kevin. So Utah State's got to regroup. They've got Utah coming in next week. That might be an even better team than we saw tonight if Cam Rising's healthy.
Yeah, I don't know that we're going to see a better team than this one. I'm surprised. I think that the Ute defense obviously is as renowned. But, this combination of offense and defense, this is a really good-looking football team.
11 tackles tonight for Jordan Vincent, who joins us tonight on the postgame show. Jordan, this is obviously a tough game, tough place to play. Really good team you played tonight. What's the morale of this team after a game like this?
I think the morale's fine. You know, it just comes down to execution at the end of the day. I feel like we didn't execute early, which kind of gave them a lead. And playing games like this, you can't give these type of teams momentum. So I feel like we're high, though. Our momentum's high, or morale is high. And just getting ready, correct what we need to correct heading into Utah next week.
Yeah, I think you come into these kind of games knowing that there's such talent on the other side, and you know that you got to play your perfect game. I know you had sort of that mindset that you wanted to keep everything in front of you here tonight, but boy, when you look at the speed and the talent, it's hard to decipher everything, isn't it?
Yes, sir. I would say that, you know, it comes down to us, like I said it before, you know, just executing our job and being in the right place, reading our keys, fitting in the right spots. So I feel like the execution obviously wasn't there as you see the result of the game.
So as a team that obviously has hefty goals this year and wants to accomplish a lot, what was the message from Coach in the locker room after this one?
Just correcting the mistakes from the game, you know, just moving forward, you know. You got to be on top of the preparation for next week, the preparation for the week after, and just correcting the mistakes that we made throughout the game today.
When you look at this team, Jordan, what makes them so hard to defend?
I feel like they're a little bit of a dynamic team. You know, they like to do the same thing in a lot of different ways, though. So they kind of like to disguise their identity of what they do, which makes it a little bit tricky to kind of understand what they're going to.
So when you've got an opponent like Utah coming up next week, you don't have time to lick your wounds. You don't have time to feel sorry for yourself because Utah's not going to feel sorry for you. So I got to imagine you got to rebound from this pretty quickly in practice next week.
For sure. It's already on to the next. You know, we'll come in tomorrow and watch the film, review the film, see where we went wrong, see what we did well, and then it's on to Utah.
Do you feel like that? I mean, you commented on it early on in this discussion, but do you feel like there's any sort of hangover effect that could happen, or do you feel like you can flush it and just move forward?
I feel confident in the group of guys we have that we'll be able to flush it and move it forward. You know, I feel like everybody is a professional in this locker room, and we'll be able to move forward.
Well, Jordan, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us. We know you got to hop on that bus and get over to the airplane as quickly as possible, so we'll let you go, man. But thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it.
For sure. Thank you.
There he is, Jordan Vincent, New Mexico State transfer, and really, really good player for this Aggie team, leading them in tackles with 11 tonight.
Back-to-back weeks with double-digit tackles, 7 of those solo tonight. And he really is sort of that safety blanket in the backfield for Utah State defensively. I like the attitude, like the ability to say, you know what, we know that this was going to be a tough one. We're going to flush it. We're going to move on because we got a big one coming next week back at the MAV with the Utes coming to town for the first time in a long, long time.
Since 2012. That's Jordan Vincent, our Everlight Solar player of the game tonight. Take another break, come back. We'll continue on with your post-game show and hear from Nate Dreiling straight ahead on the Aggie Sports Network.
Fall season here and fall in the air. Ski and snowboard season is just around the corner. Remember how much fun last season was? We are anticipating more of the same. Student season passes for this season go on sale September 1st at skithebeeve.com. The best way to beat the winter blues is to head to the mountains for some great family fun recreation. Don't let another year go by without getting in on the great times to be had at Beaver Mountain. And as always, think snow.
DL Evans Bank, banking with a local touch. We can't wait to welcome you to a better way of banking. Come join us on this exciting journey right here in Utah. Whether you're saving for that cabin in the mountains or starting a new venture, DL Evans Bank has the tools and expertise to help you succeed. And with our convenient online banking, managing your finances is a breeze. DL Evans Bank, community banking since 1904.
Which schools will take home the prestigious Learfield Directors Cup as the top college athletic programs for the 2024-25 college athletic season? You can follow the standings of your favorite team or alma mater at L Directors Cup on Twitter and online at thedirectorscup.com. Trophies will be awarded in June 2025 to the winning institutions in all college sports divisions. Learfield Directors Cup, the crowning achievement in college athletics.
Today's post-game show brought to you by Farm Bureau agent Bruce Jones right here on the Aggie Sports Network from Learfield. While we have a moment, let's pause 10 seconds. It's 1 a.m. up and down the Wasatch Front. Here's your chance for local stations to identify themselves on the Aggie Sports Network from Learfield.
Covering Aggie football like no one else does. News Talk KVNU Logan, 102 FM and 610 AM. The home for USU Aggie fans.
Time for our post-game conversation with the head coach of the Aggies, Nate Dreiling. Of course, as always, brought to you by Sports Academy, your club, your results, your life. Well, I know this result didn't go the way you wanted, Coach, but kind of tell us what your message was to your team in the post-game after this one.
I think when we watched the film and definitely live, there was no difference in how we played out of the gate to the end of the game as far as physicality, toughness, and finishing. The problem is we came out shell-shocked, especially on defense, weren't doing what we were trained to do all week. And finally, when we settled in, right, we could get in the right spots. Now, obviously, we had to tackle, which is a tough task. And hats off to USC and their tremendous lineup that they have. It's going to be a tough task for anybody.
I know that we talked before the game that you try to keep everything in front of you defensively and make them drive, which – you know, you started off the game and they had the drop at the end zone and forced the field goal, kind of went to script like you wanted. But when you look at their lineup with 14 guys catching balls, a couple of good-looking running backs, I mean, that's a good-looking squad over there that you played here tonight. Travel safe.
Yeah, they do it right? You're playing one of the best teams in all of college football and one of the best offensive masterminds. And let alone, I think, with USC, and now they have a defense playing like they have, that team's going to be tough to beat. But the biggest bright spot for us in the takeaway was our special teams was unbelievable. They have the best punt return, kick return in the country, and we started the game with a tackle on the 16-yard line, and punt return, he couldn't get anything going and probably had negative yards. So unbelievable job by Nick Perminsky and that whole special team staff.
You know, it's and look, you know, the score is what it is, but there were some really good opportunities. Like, you look at right before halftime, it's 20-0, but it looks like the seam route to Royals is wide open, and he can catch that in stride, but the USC guy gets his paw up in the air and knocks it up in the air, and it gets intercepted. And what could have been maybe 21-3 or 21-7 at the break ends up being, 27-0. And it's just those little things like that I think you can go back and look at and say, okay, you know what, a little bit here and there, and, we make this thing a lot closer than maybe it would have been otherwise.
Yeah, you're probably right. The biggest thing is that we need to make sure we come and be prepared when we take the field. And I need to do a better job of making sure our guys are relaxed and playing loose. And they were a little tight to start with. But still, like you talked about, right before half, offense has a chance to make it a two-score game and just gets a batted pass. And that's a tough break. But really proud, once again, at how resilient this group's been. And that'll be the messaging all the way.
That was one thing that I kind of took away from tonight's game, Coach, is that when you look at it, it was all-out effort until the very end. I think that's one thing you can hang your hat on, is these kids are going to keep fighting, keep playing all the way through.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Backs against the wall, come out swinging, and keep going the whole time. You look at the O-line the last drive, they're freaking pushing piles and moving people and having a block. Them down 48-0, but it doesn't matter about the scoreboard. It's about them having fun, them competing, straining, and finishing. So hats off to them for finishing. Not the outcome we wanted, but we seem to keep getting better and better. That's the only way. We're not ready right now, but maybe tomorrow or the next day, right, or whenever our big moment comes for a monumental win, we just got to keep preparing.
So Jordan Vincent used a phrase that I think is spot on. He goes, we got to just flush this game. How do you as a coach take this game and learn from it, but also not allow this team to dwell on it?
Yeah, no doubt. Biggest thing, no injuries, especially playing here. So, obviously a huge opponent next week with Utah, which is going to be an unbelievable environment. I can't wait for Aggie faithful to show up for that. But just like anything, whether you win or lose has no relevance on what you learn from a game, right? It should be, well, how can I get better? What can I do to help this team and keep moving in the right direction?
Do you feel like the game plan that you talked about with kind of the slowdown on offense, do you feel like that hurt your rhythm at all, or do you feel like it's something that you can use maybe even later in the season?
That's a good question. I got to go back and watch the tape. Obviously, we didn't score any points, so it didn't help anything. I know it slowed the game down, but we couldn't really stop them on defense. So there's a lot of ways to do it, and I didn't. It's hard to get the right answers when you're playing one of the best teams, but. The kids stuck with the game plan. I thought the offense and defensive coaches, and especially they coached hard the whole time. No one lost faith, and regardless of the scoreboard, and that's one of my prouder moments.
Well, Coach, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you later this week on my show on our flagship station as well as the coach's show, but we'll let you get ready to hop on that charter and get back to Logan. Thanks for your time.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Take care.
You got it. There he is, Nate Dreiling, head coach of Utah State. Aggies suffer a 48-0 loss tonight to USC. Kevin? Tough one tonight, but you got Utah rolling in next week, and that place is going to be rocking. He's right on that.
Don't know what you take away from a game like this tonight other than the fact that your kids kept playing. They just kept giving effort, and that you can certainly build upon. I think that they'll also look at the film, and the coaching staff will take a look at this and say, are we putting ourselves and our team in the right positions? And you've got a young coaching staff. I mean, this is game 2 for Nate Dreiling in one of the biggest arenas in the conference in the world, and they'll learn from that experience and move forward.
Well, not only will they learn from that too, but there's this is a really good team they play tonight. This is a team that's going to be right there for a Big Ten title, and so I think we'll look back and say, much like we did about Alabama and LSU when the season's over, they played a really good team. Kevin, this is fun, man.
Fun to be here.
Let's not wait another 35 years for you to get back here.
I agree. I'd like to say I threw a touchdown pass in another arena here shortly. So, we get the Utes coming into Mav on Saturday, so you got to.
Did you throw a touchdown against Utah?
I did. Yes, but in Salt Lake City.
All right, it's all good. All right, that wraps it up for us. Big thanks to Christian Esparza back in studio. Big thanks to Aggie Salvson keeping us on the air. We're getting text messages saying, shut it down. You got to get on a plane. So we'll look forward to getting back to you, and we'll have everything wrapped up. Remember, Coach's Show coming up on Wednesday, and back with you next week, next Saturday, 1:30 pregame, 2:30 kickoff from the MAV as Utah State takes on Utah right here on the Aggie Sports Network from Learfield.
The game is over, and now KVNU Aggie Game Day continues with Aggie Call, the complete recap on all the action of your Utah State Aggies. We want your comments and questions about today's game. The phone line is 435-753-KVNU. The text line is 435-554-1175. Plus, more interviews and insights are coming as we break down the Aggie action with you in the Aggie Nation. KVNU Aggie Game Day is brought to you by Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Make it special. Make it Jarek's. Les Olson IT, providing managed IT services to business throughout Utah. Adams Wealth Advisors, your trusted financial team. Whether you've done a lot of planning or a little planning. DD Auto and Salvage. Recycling made easy. No job is too small or too large. LSS Insurance Agency, your local Medicare and Social Security experts. Cafe Sabor, your favorite Latino restaurant in the historic train station on 6th West and Center. The Sportsman, from the trail to the theater. A world-class shopping experience on Main Street. And Primrose Home Care and Hospice. Exceptional home health care and hospice in the comfort of your own home. It's KVNU Aggie Call with J.D. Walker, Stockton Jukes, and Eric Franson.
Well, that was quite the experience. The Aggies taking on USC, and we're here on Aggie Call. The phone number, 435-753-5868. The text line also available and open right now, 435-554-1175. Right out of the gates, 93.15. My expectations for the team just dropped a level, and we still didn't do any better when USC's backups came in the game. Your reactions sound off right now in the Aggies getting shut out down in the Coliseum. Of course, my prediction, Stockton, was a little bit off, as our predictions were pregame. But talking about the postgame and hearing what some of the quick reacts as we go around the room real quick. Eric Franson, Stockton Jukes here on Aggie Call. Eric, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that Dreiling wasn't more bothered by the fact that his team didn't get any points on the board and that his defense gave up 48. It was, I don't know. I mean, maybe at some point in the game, he's just like, you know what? What are we going to do against this USC team? We can't do what we want. They're too big, too fast. So we're just giving our guys time. We're giving them reps. But I expected this team to do more than what they did. Like, we saw USC was a good team in what they did against LSU last week. But I thought Utah State would have a little bit more to offer offensively and defensively tonight. So I'm not surprised that they lost, but I am surprised by how much. So, I mean, I don't know, Stockton, would you see it any different way?
No, I'm right in that same boat with you, and I'm actually pretty frustrated by those comments from Dreiling at the end of the game because, it's one thing if you go into the Coliseum and you understand, hey, we're probably going to get beat up here. It's a matchup that does not favor us physically, speed-wise. And at the end of the day, Utah State, they're not a Power 4 program. I guess I was going to say Power 5. That doesn't exist anymore. But, yeah, to put up a goose egg, and especially your last few drives of the game, aside from that last drive where they almost got into field goal range and then ran themselves out of field goal range, which was something they frequently did this evening.
Yes.
To be okay with that is not okay to me. Like, you've got to take that for what it is, where you just got punched in the jaw. You gave up 48 points. You went 2 for 11 on third down, 0 for 2 on fourth down. You couldn't run the ball, couldn't pass the ball. RPO's not working. You don't make any adjustments on offense. You keep trying to do the same stuff over and over again, and it keeps not working. And then just to kind of be like at the end of the game, yeah, whatever. I really don't like that. And if the mentality is, well, we're just going to give guys reps, we can't do anything here, I also don't like that. Why are you giving up on the game? You got to try. You got to compete. And if that's going to be the mentality in these tough games, I expect to lose by 60 to Utah next week.
It was really kind of a bummer listening to Coach Dreiling at the end talking about the coaches doing the best they can and putting in, and I didn't see that much. Like, we had 190 total yards for the Aggies, and the passing was just atrocious. It seemed like every time we had a goal to go or the down to go, we would throw behind the line of scrimmage or a bubble screen or something like that. And we just kept staying on the same thing. Yeah, we had some running yards at the end of the game, but I think overall, man, I took that as a huge punch to the face of a game. And to have Coach come out and not be fired up like we were all fired up in the conference room about, being shut out and being kind of embarrassed on national television, I'm kind of blown away by the coach's reaction.
Not only that, but you barely get away from going net negative yards against the third string defense. Like, right. I just, how are you okay with that?
Yeah, outside of that last drive, 40 yards, 10 plays for 40 yards. That was the longest drive that Utah State had on the night in number of plays and total yards. Outside of that one drive to end the game against the backups of the backups for USC, Utah State was really doing nothing in the second half. They had the one drive early in the second half where they had 8 plays for 26 yards. Outside of that, they were going backwards. They did not gain positive yards in the second half outside of 2 drives, the very first one and the very last one. And I'm just really surprised that the game plan didn't change. There weren't really adjustments as the game went on offensively to try to press the ball downfield a little bit more, try to use these wide receivers that we were excited about this season. Jalen Royals had himself a decent little game himself, but I was a little surprised that the passing game just really wasn't there for USU. Now, Barnes didn't have a lot of time because he was pressured and had guys in his face a lot, but I was surprised that there wasn't more of an effort in the passing game for Utah State tonight.
Looking at the run game, too, I'm kind of baffled with the option. It's always, give and then hold. It takes so long for the running plays to develop in the backfield that USC was It was like they had the snap. Like they knew exactly what was going to go on. And every time, Barnes tried to pull once, but I think Herschel kind of took it away from him. But that's not fooling anybody. We didn't do anything to make that come out, and to just keep going with that same thing. And then the conversion, or the series of plays that we were in there, and it was third down, and they called a keeper, like a designed quarterback run that went nowhere, and it was like 3rd and 12.
Yeah, 3rd and long, and they're running right into the middle in the teeth of the USC defense.
And knowing that you're going to go for the next play, and you're actually going to go for it on 4th down, why not try to get some positive yardage on something, moving it down, instead of trying to run right into the teeth of that defense that's just been eating you up all day?
Yeah, surprising. Give credit to USC for their defensive prowess, but that's a good team. But they are physically the more imposing team on both sides of the ball. Utah State couldn't get a good push with their offensive line. They couldn't get a lot of pressure on Miller Moss. He had time to survey the field and pick his spots. Was it 14 different receivers, 14 different guys caught a ball tonight? He had a clean jersey. They never really got after him.
And then the one time
USC
they did get after a quarterback, he gets in the end zone.
Yeah, but still, Utah State, they've got to be better. They've got to have a better effort if they want to have a semi-respectable season this year.
Because this is, we're going into a Utah matchup that's a week away. Well, less than a week now, since we're into Sunday already. And my views of how that's going to go, Cam Rising, a question right now with the injury he sustained to his 2 fingers that are taped up after that being WWE body slam through a table. But it just makes me kind of go, wow. We just laid a goose egg. We've got a big game coming up here at home, and I didn't see any passion or fire from the coaches or from the coach Dreiling. I just heard him say that, everybody kept going and kept doing their thing. Well, that's just not going to cut it at a program like this. Like, you're going to have to step up and do something. I'm ticked as a fan to hear my coach be like, okay, they just kind of did their thing, and everybody excelled and did what they were supposed to do. Well, if that's what they're supposed to do, then the rest of the season's going to be a really, really rough ride.
We've got someone chiming into 1909 says he couldn't agree with us more. 0 points was the most frustrating part about that game, and to hear Dreiling's response was very concerning. He did say a lot of optimistic flashes for the defense compared to a slow and stubborn offense, which I do agree there. The defense looked really good at times, and then they looked really poor at other times. I feel like their ability to contain the edge today was awful. The B and C gaps today were wide open 75% of the time. But they did have a couple good flashes. Ike almost had that one interception in the third quarter. It just, almost came away with it. They had that one interception earlier in the game, too, that was negated by a penalty flag. So there are flashes, but then they do things to shoot themselves in the foot over and over and over again. So to hear apathy from Dreiling there is concerning for fans and for people associated with the program.
We're going to take a quick break. If you want to join us, you can go ahead and join us right now through the text line, 435-554-1175, or you can reach on the phone line, 435-753-5868. We'll be right back with Aggie Call.
Retirement. Are you ready? Adams Wealth Advisors specializes in preparing you for a secure retirement. There's no reason to feel frustrated. The team at Adams Wealth will create a personalized plan that includes timing of retirement, reliable income sources, Social Security, estate planning, and more. Adams Wealth Advisors has a team of CPA, certified financial planners, Social Security experts to help you plan and retire with confidence. Call today, 752-1702, or visit adamswealthadvisors.com. That's adamswealthadvisors.com. Your dream retirement starts here.
The patio is open. The chips are endless. Drinks on tap. You know it's got to be Cafe Sabor, Cache Valley's best Mexican restaurant, gold winner in the Best of Northern Utah contest. Experience Locals Day every Thursday with a huge burrito, endless chips and soda, only $7.95. That's a complete lunch for just $7.95. Finding any lunch under $10 is nearly impossible. Every Thursday, drinks, chips, and massive burrito, just $7.95. The patio, the sun, the fun at Cafe Sabor in the historic train station on 6th Weston Center in Logan.
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical. I'd like to invite you to learn more about us. Since 1997, we've been Utah's premier one-stop shop for home medical equipment. What sets us apart at Alpine Home Medical is the superior level of customer service. We provide home oxygen, CPAPs, wheelchairs, scooters, breast pumps, and so much more. Come on down and get to know us.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Visit alpinehomemedical.com.
Hey, I'm Scott Girard, and you're listening to Aggie Game Day as we get you all the analysis, all the interviews, and all the insight. This is Aggie Game Day on KVNU.
A hard night in Southern California for the Aggies, getting shut out by USC. It's Aggie Call, joined by Stockton Jukes, Eric Franson. I'm J.D. Walker. And Eric, one of the positive things that I wanted to point out was the DB room. Tonight, there were a lot of big hits. There was a lot of Ike Larson was doing some big Showtime stuff out there. The interception almost that was right on the tip of his fingers, the other pick that he had earlier. But we saw some big hits and big plays made by the DBs.
We did, and a couple of things. Ike Larson, 2 pass breakups tonight, tying a career high there. He had 10 tackles in the game, so he was a very active player. Had an interception, as we noted. It was taken away because of a penalty. So Ike was out there trying. DJ Graham had a couple of big hits. He punched the ball out, caused a fumble. Avante Dickerson was active defending passes. So yeah, there were some things that the Utah State secondary. J.D. Drew had a nice big hit on a couple of plays. So the Utah State secondary, looked nice. I mean, they were doing some good things. They still gave up 295 yards through the air, in the passing game. But I mean, there are some things to look at and try to find some silver linings in some aspects in individual play. Jalen Royals, first career kickoff return, and he has 6 receptions for 47 yards. I thought that we saw some nice things out of Herschel Turner later in the game. Until he started going backwards. So, I mean, there are a few things that you can look at and okay, maybe there's some things to build off of here, but there were opportunities there for Utah State too, and they weren't able to capitalize on them.
And I think Dreiling is going in the right direction, right? We talked about it a little bit, but he was given a really rough hand coming into this season. But, moving in the right direction is one thing. Failing to score points in a situation like that in the fourth quarter is still a big cause for concern, and then to hear his reaction to it afterwards is a little bit more concerning. So I'm hoping that they take that and they're holding this media face of, hey, we're fine, we're good, we're moving on. But I hope they get to film study tomorrow and they're all pissed off. I hope that everyone's really upset and they look at this film like it's the Bible, basically. They need to get everything they can out of this film so that they don't put up a goose egg at home against Utah for the first time in 12 years.
Going to the text line real quick at 0443, making USC's defense look like the 85 Bears was disheartening, especially when our offense is supposed to have all this firepower. I kind of agree with that one on you, looking at all the firepower that we're supposed to have on offense and only creating 190 yards there. Couple other texts coming in, too. If you want to get involved, 435-554-1175. Looking forward to Utah this week, guys. A lot of things need to change, especially, hopefully, some fire from the coach a little bit to hear. I know I get it, it's after a game, but the Aggie fans, we need to hear a little fire from him, especially being skunked.
Well, Jordan Vincent, too. Morale's high. You just got killed 48-0.
It's not high for us.
Yeah, morale's high. Yeah, we're good. Okay. I mean, I can understand the mentality of you got to put it behind you. Dwelling on it, stewing over it doesn't really do you a heck of a lot of good. But man, you got to be salty about how you performed tonight. If you're just going to accept that as okay, that's not a great sign. So maybe it's just because the way this game was going, they were resigned to those emotions earlier on in the night. And by the time the game was done, they're just, hey, we're actually going home now. This is over. I don't have to suffer through any more of this. So that's why morale is high. We get to go home now.
The rolling blackouts didn't help the delays that we had to push this game now into deep into Sunday morning. So
whatever electric grid the Coliseum's on is going to be the defensive player of the night for me.
It's so funny. They talk about how USC, this juggernaut program and everything like that, but they couldn't even keep the lights on after dark. So it's one of those things.
No more Pac-12 after dark, no more lights.
Yeah, it's one of the things. The Utah State rolling out that rolling blackout defense kind of stopped them for a little bit, but it's kind of a rough night there in Southern California. We'll look to see how the Aggies go to bounce back as we cover them throughout the week over there on the Full Court Press. Eric, with you and Jason. And then me and Stockton will be taking care of watching everything. Stockton, you've got something special going on tomorrow that might help the Aggie fans recover from this. What do we got going on tomorrow at 1 o'clock?
The best goose egg hangover cure that I've ever been able to find is a nice day in the sun at the Bell. Utah State's going to be taking on Pacific at 1 p.m. tomorrow at Chuck and Glory Bell Field. Really great venue for college soccer. It's not the biggest, not a whole lot of stands and stuff, but they let you sit up on the berm, up on the side of the field behind the goal. And Utah State is undefeated. They have also only allowed 1 goal throughout all competitions. They have taken down the entirety of the state of Utah on their way back home on a big road trip that included wins against Texas Tech. Texas Tech was at home, actually. Then they went on the road. They beat Utah. They beat BYU. They beat UVU. Now they'll come home, take on Pacific, get ready for conference play. But they're going to be ranked in the top 10 if they win tomorrow.
Yep. So tomorrow, a good cure for the hangover of tonight's game. And Eric, I'm going to hit you with one last text because I think you'll resonate with this from 5662. On the bright side, no dumb, unsportsmanlike penalties, was there?
Yeah, that was encouraging. I mean, there were some administrative penalties that were kind of frustrating tonight. False starts, delay of games. The disconcerting signals on defense, that was weird. You know, the defensive lineman shift, and that happened twice during the game. This seemed to happen a lot in the Matt Wells era, where we heard this quite a bit, but didn't seem like Coach Dreiling was getting, at least watching the game, didn't look like he got much explanation from the referees as to why that was called. But on the day, Utah State had 9 penalties for 64 yards. So there were improvements there. There was the one penalty that they had for a blindside block in the first quarter. But outside of that, it was a lot cleaner, at least in the unsportsmanlike variety for Utah State. There were administrative things, the 5 yards here or there, a few holding calls that hurt some drives. But as far as being more disciplined by the players, it was a better night tonight in that aspect.
And I also feel like they took care of the ball a little bit better tonight, all things considered. That one interception that Bryson threw did take a big deflection at the line of scrimmage, and that sends it up in the air. 5 seconds feels like an eternity in that situation, and so the pick is there. But no fumbles against a really strong run defense. Aside from that one pick, you don't really throw anything super dangerous, maybe a couple short balls, a couple conservative balls that are outside the range of both people in that area, but I think they looked a little bit smarter in terms of ball protection tonight than they did, especially in that first half last week.
A couple of texts coming in from 9315. I'm just going to go lump all these together, and then we can react. It says, why did we change what the team has practiced all last year and until now of being fast? Why do we try to be Air Force and slow play on offense? The team has never waited on every play till 5 or less seconds to snap the ball. If any fans really care about this team, we need to be unhappy about 0 points on the board, and those few bogus penalties on defense was not why we never had any chances for points in this game. I wish it were. As far as the pace of the game, that was another thing that was kind of surprising to me, that the offensive game plan was just curious overall. They didn't press the ball down the field very much. It wasn't a quick pace offense. It didn't seem like they tried very many things to keep USC on their heels. USC had time to adjust and attack Utah State defensively. And I didn't feel like Utah State really attacked them very much tonight. And that was surprising that Cephalo wasn't a little bit more aggressive on offense.
I thought we were playing more horizontal football to the line. Like we were moving horizontally instead of going vertically.
Yeah.
East and west is bad. North and south is good.
And then when
south is bad, north is good.
When you're trying to get into conversions on, second and third down, it puts them behind the 8 ball when it's, third and long or second and long. And then you try to run a draw play or something like that. Just a really weird. I think Bryson he had just over 100 yards throwing, but it was like 18 attempts or something. And Jason was doing the stats, and it broke down to something really small per pass. And that's not a way you're going to go in and win a game. And, thinking about this, get your guys' final thoughts here real quick. How does this game tonight, Eric and Stockton, how does it impact your view for next week against the Utes? Or does it?
Yeah, it certainly does. USC is certainly a much improved team defensively than what they've been historically. We know Utah is a great team defensively, historically. And so Utah State just went up against a team that was a good physical defense. And this next week, they're going to face a team that's arguably even better defensively. Now, Utah is going to have some questions on their offense, but this really needs to come down to, can USU move the ball against a good defensive front? And tonight, they couldn't. And I don't really have much that's going to give me confidence that next week's going to be any different. So this is a team that's got to figure out a lot of stuff. And I don't know that it's Spencer Petras is necessarily the answer, the missing link here. Maybe he does help in some certain ways. But this is a team that's got to do some soul searching on their offensive staff and their players about how can we get the ball more vertical. Part of that is giving the quarterback a little bit more time so that the offensive line, they've got to do a better job of holding firm in what they're doing, and tight ends and maybe even running backs picking up blitzes, because Bryson Barnes just didn't really have a lot of time tonight either.
Yeah, I agree. The time in the pocket is something that I thought was going to be a big problem before the game. We were talking about it a little bit on game day, but it was worse than I thought it was going to be. It just seemed like Bryson had no time, and even on those designed rollout plays on a lot of those RPOs where he is moving by design, there's nowhere for him to move because all of a sudden those edges collapse on him and he's surrounded on all sides. That's really frustrating for him. And the other thing, too, going back to the tempo text, is like they tried a little bit at the beginning, very early on, and they were trying to get it out to Jalen Royals and let him run a little bit after the catch, and he did for the first couple plays, but then there was no downfield blocking. He wasn't getting any help. A lot of the catches behind the line, he was getting swarmed by 3 or 4 guys immediately, and he was getting really frustrated. The only adjustment they tried to make there is, we'll just try and hold the ball longer and keep it away from USC. That didn't work at all, and that's not going to work against Utah either. I think you've got to start looking at other adjustments that you can make, because it just seemed like they didn't have a lot in their toolkit that they could go to tonight. And that's where I think that they really struggled, is once what they needed to work wasn't working, they didn't know where to go.
I think it's going to be a long week up on the hill getting prepared for Utah and answering some questions about putting up a goose egg down in Southern California. And from basically the temperature we're taking from the Aggie faithful that are up with us at almost 1:30 in the morning talking about this, they're not happy with the way things were and kind of how the coach came out and wasn't too fired up about it. So I think this is going to have a big impact on Utah, whether Cam Rising plays or not. We're going to have to figure out this offense, and they're going to have to be able to move it down the field, whether it's Barnes at quarterback or maybe Spencer Petras is back. But a Utah game is going to be a huge challenge coming up.
Right. Well, does it really matter who the quarterback is when you give up 249 yards on the ground?
Yeah, not really. No.
I mean, USC, they've got a decent running game, running backs as far as individual players. I mean, they're nice, but they're not like Heisman Trophy like crazy.
I wasn't blown away with the caliber of running back compared
Woody
to
Marks and his. You look at his games and what he's done, his resume, I guess you should say. He's not known as a speedy back or necessarily power back. He does a decent job. I'm not trying to, say that he's a terrible running back. He's a decent running back, but he's not all world.
We made him look all world.
He got 100 yards in the first half.
That's another concern, though, right? Is if you make USC's ground game look that good, what does that say about you?
And we've got Boise State coming, and Genty has been on a tear. I mean, he's just tearing it up.
Yes.
So we're going to go ahead and call it a night and wrap it up here on Aggie Call. It's been great to be with you. For Eric Franson, Stockton Jukes, I'm J.D. Walker. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out with us. We'll be back next week as we take on the Utes. You can check out coverage of the Aggies all week long over on The Fan, our sister station, with Jason Walker and Eric Franson on the Full Court Press. For Stockton Jukes, I'm J.D. Walker. Have a good night.
When grid failures and severe weather cause power outages, your business might take a hit, or at home, you could lose your refrigerated food storage. Generac Standby Power Solutions help ensure an uninterrupted power supply. Generac is the #1 brand of standby generators. Get yours today from Golden Spike Electric, your trusted source for safety and security. Golden Spike Electric, powering your peace of mind. Online at gscgenerators.com or call 257-3016. They also service other models.
Nothing better than a great song from 1976. Hi, this is Bob Larson with LSS Insurance, and I'm talking to you, graduating class of 76. Even if you're still working or getting ready to retire, Medicare is a conversation we need to have. Let us help you understand Medicare and all your options. Don't rely on TV ads or annoying phone calls. Having a local agent makes all the difference. Call LSS at 752-9493. Call 752-9493.
This is Jordan with Primrose Home Care and Hospice, and I'm here with Barbara. Barbara, how did you become acquainted with Primrose?
I had been trying to get another company to come and help me, and I had waited about 2 weeks, and I needed a bath. My neighbor suggested that she would make a few phone calls, and that very afternoon, Mark Stokes was sitting in my front room, and he said, "What do you need?"
Primrose Home Care and Hospice. We're your home team.
This Utah State broadcast has been a presentation of News Talk KVNU and the Cache Valley Media Group, the heritage home for the Aggies.